You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
I know. I'm not nearly as attractive or good looking as Miss Jen King, but you're stuck with me. And here we are. We got two excellent guests coming up for you guys. So stick around. We're going to hang out with them and interview them. Welcome back to Talking Shop, folks. I am your fill-in host for today, Onrie, filling in for Miss Jen King, who very unfortunately lost her father just today. So I'm filling in for Miss Jen King, we got some great guests. So this is going to be a great show. We have my man Don Wen in the house, and we also got Aaron in the house. I can't pronounce your last name. I don't want to attempt to without knowing how to say it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You can just call me Aaron.
Aaron, that sounds good to me. But just for Pete's sake, what's your last name? How do we pronounce that?
Well, for Pete, it's Lindenthaler, but unless you're from the old country, then it's Lindenthaler, but it's gotten Americanized, so now it's a Lindenthaler. So
okay, cool. Well, my name is been Americanized too. People call me Onrie. It's Onrie, but that's how it goes. Okay. But anyway, we're not here to talk about me or my name or even your name. Yeah. We're here to talk about you guys. Don, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing great, man. Can't wait to see you this upcoming week.
Yes, you and you have done just such a spectacular job. And I'm sorry, guys. I've been just running around like crazy getting ready for Heroes Con, and just got back from Florida yesterday, and so my mind is just all over the place. But I was going to interview you guys this week, so this all worked out perfectly. Yep. And you guys have a Kickstarter going right now. So why don't we jump into this? Tell us about your project and what you guys got going on.
Okay.
Go for it, Don. You start.
Well, our project is fantastic. You can go to whoisretro.com to catch it. We launched, obviously, the 21st of June, so that's Tuesday. We're doing that Tuesday early start. And our project, how do I describe it? The best way to describe it is if you're a fan of movies like Memento, Looper, or the Jason Bourne, the Bourne Identity series, I think this will be the project for you. But more important than that, what we also have at the very core of our crime, noir, sci-fi epic that we're trying to build here is a real just father-son relationship story, and I think that's what's at the heart of the matter. So hopefully we have a little bit of something for everybody. But yeah, if you guys also like crime and noir comics, like what Ed Brubaker does with Criminal, or David Lapham with Stray Bullets, I believe you're going to enjoy this book.
Jay, thank you for dropping that link in the comments, so you guys go to Who Is Retro. Don, I want to just say, really love your backdrop. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
And
appreciate it.
To both you guys, the timing on this couldn't be better. A story about a father and son relationship. So what inspired this?
Well, I'm a father and a son. And so it seems like all my stories end up.
Wait, you're both?
Yeah, I'm a father and a son. And it just seems like for some reason, that dynamic really never meant much to me until I had my own kids, I guess. And then, it seems like it's weaved its way into all of my stories and artwork and stuff like that. And, I don't know how to say it, but it's just sort of like, it is a noir and it is a mystery, and it's about a guy who's lost all of his memories except for a moment with his son. And unfortunately, that moment is a terrible crime, and he's trying to piece it all back together. And he has a device that's embedded in his arm that enables him to go back in time for short spurts. But unfortunately, the more he uses it, the more pain it causes, and the more mixed up his memories become. So
when he goes back into the present time.
Yeah, and so like he can hold it down for 10 Mississippi and go back in time for 10, 15 seconds or something like that. And so it's sort of a tool for him to get the upper hand in certain situations because he has to kick some ass to get some answers. So that's the basic premise of the story. But so not only is it a father-son relationship thing, but also in my family, we have a lot of people who unfortunately have suffered with Alzheimer's. So it's the fear of losing our memories and stuff like that that has also weaved its way into the storytelling.
What a terrible feeling that must be. Like, you spend your whole life learning skills, building relationships, learning things that protect you, that prolong your ability to survive, and then suddenly you lose it, and you lose everything. You lose all your memories. I'm already very, very intrigued on this. So Don, I'm assuming you're on board as the artist for this project.
Yeah, so Aaron and I started this project out. I looked back at my sketch blog, and it looks like we started out in 2016. So this actually originally started out because Aaron is a screenwriter, and he needed storyboards done. And he asked if I had time, if I'd want to collaborate and do storyboards, and we did that. And he took the storyboards and asked me to. Usually, you see storyboards, they're in like rough pencils, best fine pencils. But he was like, "Hey, could you finish these?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like how you would make a comic. So I actually inked and colored it. I put tone work on it for him. And then he took that and he animated it. And his motion comic or animated short got into one of the longest running film festivals here in Los Angeles called Dances with Film in 2019. And when we showed it at the premiere, we had strangers just coming up to us to talk to us about the project. And I think from there, like it really dawned on us that people wanted to see more of the project, and what better way to do that than with a comic book where you can flesh out the world. And Aaron has done a ton of amazing world building in the story. He's really added depth to the character, and I hope I've done him justice with my artwork. So yeah, we started out as a short, and now we're bringing both a comic book and amazingly a live action short, which people will get to see if they back at certain tiers. So they'll get to not only see the animated original short, but they'll get to see the upcoming live action short that's being submitted to film festivals right now.
That's fantastic. I want to just inform our viewers real quick. If you guys go to whoisretro.com right now, you can be notified when these guys launch, which will be in 24 hours, Don?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right under. Yeah, we're looking to launch about 8 a.m. in the morning Pacific time tomorrow, Tuesday.
So here's the best part about this, guys. You don't have to remember anything. If you go to Who Is Retro right now, just like I did, whoisretro.com, if you go there right now, you can hit the notify button, which is what I just did because I want to jump on this Kickstarter. Now, Don, I have some other questions for you since you're the artist.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to comics, the writing and the artwork are synonymous with one another. The artist is just as much a storyteller as the writer is. You're taking the writer's script and you're bringing it to life in so many ways. Mm-hmm. So what does this story, what kind of impact does it have on you as an individual, as an artist? And, what was the experience like working on this book?
Well, it's been a pleasure working on this book, obviously. And for Aaron, as he started on screenwriting, he wasn't familiar with comic book writing. So, that was part of where our collaboration really came in. And it'll be fascinating, I think, for people to see what the differences are between the storyboards versus the live action versus what happens in the comic, because it's not all the same. We don't go panel to panel on it. And even the character designs aren't the same. But in terms of what I brought, and I've talked to Aaron about this, I had a great uncle who was paranoid schizophrenic and homeless for most of his life after coming to America. Unfortunately, he lost his wife at sea when they were escaping the Vietnam War. And when he came here, he just, he lost his break with reality. And, he was at that age where schizophrenia, because he was about his 30s, I believe. And he became paranoid schizophrenic and he refused to live. My family would always try to get him into an apartment, but he never wanted to just exist within a confined space like that. So his decision was to be on the streets. And, I tell Aaron every now and then, I just always think about what he told me about being homeless. And I think about what it would take to be homeless and how to survive. And so when we initially designed and talked about doing retro, I thought about that a lot in terms of his outfit. Because Aaron, you wanted the trench coat. That was his big thing that he wanted to see. But I was like, you got to think about the trench coat, and like he has to keep his hands warm. He has to be layered. And my great uncle, and in Vietnamese I would call him grandfather because he was on the same level as my grandfather. And so to me, he would always feel like, if you get a coat, you got to stuff your coat with newspapers because it's all about insulation. And so I think about these different things of like how to find food, how to keep yourself warm, where to go to stay warm and keep out of the cold. And, Aaron has also done a lot of work with homeless people and bringing their stories to light in his endeavors. So we had that conversation. I think we each brought a piece of that to not only the background and the character building of the story, but to the visual effect of the character as well.
Very interesting. While you were saying everything you did about the tragedy that occurred for your uncle, and I'm very sorry to hear that he lost his wife, Etsy. That is absolutely horrifying. The idea,
could not imagine it.
Right, exactly. You think about Wolverine as a character who has actually lived, for a very long time, as immortality. He's lived countless lives.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at his healing factor as his greatest strength. And the one thing it also does is it gets rid of his bad memories. And Aaron, I'm going to throw this question over to you. How much of that, goes into your thinking about, like, sometimes when you're carrying a lot of weight based on bad memories, like let's say you experience something so incredibly traumatic, release is forgetting that ever happened. So how much of that do you think applies to this character? Is he better off not knowing, in your opinion, or is there some light at the end of the tunnel for him if he does find out? Like what do you envision for this character? Is he kind of pieces back together the relationship with his son?
Yeah. So is there light at the end of the tunnel, or is this going to be one of those dark noirs that has a dark ending? And the answer is yes to both. In that.
Well said. That's a good answer. I thought just now, I'm kind of asking him to reveal the ending, which is not what the intention was. So I'm glad you veered off. That was.
But I will say this, that.
What's up, Kenneth?
This is kind of a hint to the. This is kind of an interesting little hint to the ending, that one of the things that's interesting about this story that we're trying to tell is that when you're young and you have a traumatic event in your life, does it alter your life forever? And does it make you, like in Retro's case, something terrible happened. Does that make him the monster that he thinks he might be? Or is there still that little innocence of youth still inside of him that can somehow survive and shine through and guide him in his journey to figure this all out? And so I think that when we're telling this story, that we like to think about it not necessarily as right and wrong and hero and villain and dark and light, but more of shades of gray. And so I think that what we're trying to say is that, and I think that Retro sort of discovers this along the way as he goes further and further in his journey, is that because he starts off wondering if he is the villain or if he's the hero of this story. He doesn't know. And his search to figure it all out is the story that we're telling. But as we get further along, I think that we begin to hint at the idea that there is no right or wrong. There is no yes or no answers for all of us. We're all a little bit hero. We're all a little bit villain in our lives. And what's interesting about the Shades of Gray is that Don has actually shown that with his artwork. The artwork itself is shades of gray. Wouldn't you say, Don? Is that kind of?
Yeah. So we're working in gray tones for the most part. Our flashbacks will be sepia, and there's spot color throughout, which unfortunately makes the book fully colored. But I think it's also
from a cost perspective. I love that style.
Yeah,
because the colors the colors become characters themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it highlights the moments that we want to highlight, and that's totally what Aaron and I talked about, and that was his vision, even in doing the short originally. And so we stuck to that idea because it really is that metaphor for the situation that he's talking about, which is we are a gamut of behaviors and personalities, and as people, we're not just one thing. We're flawed. We're just out there trying to do the best that we can. We will do good things. We will do bad things. Bad people will sometimes do good things, and sometimes good people will fall and do bad things. And so this is the story that we want to tell, and we want to delve into that humanity. And I think Aaron has done a really good job with the script and with pulling that off. And I was surprised at how quickly he was able to adapt his writing style to a comic book style, because as a comic book writer, Onrie, you're like, it's about the moments for us, right? In terms of our sequentials and our page turns. And we're talking about a guy who was like looking at things like frame to frame, and all of a sudden he has to think about that specific thing in the frame that he wants to focus on, and use certain things as an allegory, as a metaphor. And he's done that. And I think people are gonna enjoy this first issue, and hopefully come back for more, and look forward to more, because we look forward to bringing it to you guys.
I'm excited. Now, Kenneth Bird, welcome, by the way. I gave you a little shout out earlier. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to check out whoisretro.com. Jay, can we get that link up one more time for whoisretro.com? That's going to take you to the Kickstarter for Don and Aaron's campaign for their new book, Who is Retro. And this is a really cool series. I got to tell you, this is really something that I'm highly anticipating. And I have a project that I think would be a perfect companion piece for this, because I'm actually working on a book called Warline that I'm going to be releasing later this year, which is also about that passing on legacy and the relationship between the character and his daughter. So it's different. It's very different from your story. You guys are going in a very different direction, and a really amazing direction. I'm so excited about this. I'm probably going to be one of your first backers.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And you're doing that with Dexter Wee, right?
Yes, Dexter Wee and Cody Caravaggio and Chuck Pino, who I see in the background and on your background with the BLM. Chuck Pino. Yeah, I know Chuck. Even if he's wearing a mask, he can't hide from me.
Yeah, you can't hide Chuck. Shout out to Chuck.
But this is all really. This sounds like just totally up my alley, because of the fact that it almost feels like it's not going on this linear path. And I'm always looking to study different methods of storytelling to improve my own skill set, and I think we learn best when we're studying each other, because we all grew up reading the Frank Millers, the Alan Moores, the whoever you want to say is your favorite writer. We've read their stuff already. We've taken everything we can from them. What we aren't taking from is each other, in terms of not taking, but progressing from, and I think that independent comics are really the way of the future. Now, Don, here's a question for you, and this can segue over to Aaron too. Don, you've had books published by Scout. I sold a ton of steak this weekend while I was at the Scout HQ. We were just blowing through boxes and graphic novels and everything. What do you guys envision for this? Do you guys plan on self-publishing this? Do you guys plan on taking this to a different company? If so, what do you envision?
We actually had submitted this. So this book is a 27-page comic as of right now, and 10 pages are already colored, lettered, and ready to go. So actually, Ellie Wright, who has worked for Dynamite, IDW, Boom, DC, whatever, she's done it. She's on Immortal Red Sonja right now, I believe. She's done Batman the Shadow. She's helping to color the rest of the book. Jerome Gagnon, who's with Travis Gibb, Orange Cone production, shout out to those guys. He's helping to letter the rest of the book. So we're going to be ready to go soon. Hopefully, Ellie's got some notes to address. Jerome just started his lettering process, and hopefully we'll have that all done and just ready to hit the printer right away and get books out to everybody as soon as the project funds. We wait that 2-week period, and then we could just start sending them out. So yeah, in terms of that's ready to go for us, and that's where in terms of projects that I try to be a part of, that's where we'd like to be. Wherever that is. So we tried the pitch route, we waited for it, but we just got too antsy because we want to put this out in the world as soon as possible, so that people can start seeing the story, and then we can get some feedback from it and see how people enjoy it, and then hopefully put out the rest. And from what I understand, Aaron, you're thinking of this as a 12-issue maxi series, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's right.
That's excellent. And how far along are you guys beyond issue 1 so far in terms of writing and story?
So the writing is definitely all outlined, and several issues have been written. And Don has done a lot of the, what do you call them? The little
thumbnails
for another issue, I would say. Wouldn't you say, Don, probably?
Yeah, so our initial script that Aaron worked out, there was such a good endpoint in one part of it that we cut it there, and that gave us our 27 pages. And so the rest of it will be issue 2, and that's already been thumbnailed out. And then, I'm working on Pablo #2 right now. So once that's done, I'll probably be going back to Retro and to Battle, Grapple, Rebel, because, I like to keep a lot of things on the plate at the same time and just churn them out. So that's what we're looking forward to. So issue 2 is in the development stage, and hopefully we'll get that done within the year.
And I think that, I think what's interesting about indie comics is that it really gives you an opportunity to own your projects and your characters and really build out your stories the way that you want to and go the path that you feel passionate about. When we reached out to certain publishers, we actually got some very interesting nibbles, and we talked about going that direction. One of the things that makes it challenging for Don and I is that not only are we trying to make this a comic book, but we're sort of attacking the zeitgeist with several projects. We did the animated short, which showed at film festivals, and when we showed it there, Reno Wilson contacted us and said he's an actor who's on shows like Mike and Molly and Good Girls, and he really liked the character a lot. And he said we should make a live action short and show it around to Hollywood to see what they think. So we did that. We made it a live action short, and we'll be submitting that shortly to film festivals. And so because of all these different avenues and different medias and stuff like that, it does make it more challenging when you try to sign up with indie publishers, because a lot of them will make their money off of the off chance that it maybe could get turned into a movie, or it could get turned into a video game or something like that. And we have such a team of people who have helped us so far in these different directions that everyone's sort of counting on us to carry it forward and stuff like that. So it makes it a little more challenging when it comes to finding a real publishing home. And so we just felt most comfortable going on the self-publishing route for us.
Aaron, I want to stick with you here. So tell me about this live action film. What went into it? I'm assuming you're the one who directed it, but this was your idea, and Don came along for the ride somewhere. Tell us about this.
So after Don and I had made the animated short, and then Reno jumped on board, he's like, I want to help you guys make the live action. And I'm like, great, let's do it. And so a funny story. So Reno and I have known each other for a long time. We've always been looking for a project to work together. And the character for Retro was born out of a conversation that I had with him many years ago, when he said, I've always wanted to play a superhero. And I started thinking, like, what kind of a superhero would I be interested in? Writing about, what would motivate me to want to see a film or read a comic about a superhero in a modern day kind of way. I've always been a little turned off from the old school Supermans and, stuff like that. And sort of like you said, Onrie, I look to people who are making stuff today as my inspiration and stuff like that. So that's very exciting to me. So anyway, that's sort of how the retro began. And then when he said he wanted to help us make the live action, the funny story is he said he talked to a producer friend of his, and the live action short was about like 10 pages script or 12-page script or something like that. And he read through it and he said, "Oh, that's great. We can totally make that happen for $250,000. And I was just like, "What? Are you kidding me?" And so I said, no, we're going to make this ourselves, and we're going to guerrilla it the way that I'm used to. And we actually ended up getting a team of people who are sort of experts in shooting films with iPhones. So we shot the whole thing on our iPhone, and it turned out surprisingly great. And what's great about shooting something on an iPhone is that you can get into locations you might not normally have access to, and you can rehearse things until you've got things and block things out until you've got everything the way you want it. And you don't need an entire grip package and an entire Hollywood studio backing you to tell these stories anymore. You can just pull out that phone that's in your pocket and tell your own stories and make your own, movies, And I take inspiration from Sean Baker's film Tangerine, which he shot with his phone and went on to.
Yeah. I've seen that. That's still on Kickstarter right now.
Well, and it went on.
No. I'm thinking of Clementine. Sorry, Clementine's a different one.
Okay, but his film went and showed at Sundance, and got huge distribution and became a huge hit, which enabled him to go on later and make the Florida Project with, some big time people and stuff like that. So I just think that it's important not to let money get in the way or any sort of obstacles these days. I think that filmmaking and comic book making and storytelling is more accessible than ever before.
I agree. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, Don, let's take it back to you now. So, did you have any involvement in the making of this movie? And if so, like what were you doing?
The only aspects I was involved in is I had done the storyboards, and it's always insane, like when something gets made and you're involved in it, and to see it from one medium into the other. And so Aaron has a couple shots that are almost like dead on, and we've shared some of that, in our social media push as well. So if you follow me on Instagram or on Twitter, I'm sure you've seen some of the comparison shots that I've put up between the storyboards and the live action, and even some comparisons between the live action or storyboards and some of the comic panels. And then other than that, my buddy Marcus Newsom, who is doing a pinup for us for this book, and we did a graffiti bomb. We did a little piece that is in the film, and is actually, I've remixed it as our special variant cover that we've done with Reno Wilson. So we have a live action variant cover, and the logo is that bomb, that piece, graffiti piece that we did.
Yeah, and Don's forgetting that a lot of his work ended up in the credits.
Oh, yes. And my storyboards are also in the credit scenes.
That's incredible. That's awesome. It's good that you guys have each other's back. All right, guys, I hate to do this. We got to end this now. We're coming close to the end. So remember, guys, go to whoisretro.com. Be notified for lunch. This episode is actually going to get re-aired on Friday during my Kicking It spot. So you guys will be further ahead in your campaign. Hopefully you'll be well past fully funded at that point. So I wish you guys the best of luck. And I had such a blast chatting with you guys. Don, we're going to hang out in Charlotte for sure.
Yeah, we're going to for sure hang out here.
And actually, I want to talk to you about Charlotte. We should message each other before everything happens, and I'll hit you up on Messenger right now. But Aaron, it was such a pleasure meeting you. I look forward to hanging out with you at a convention at some point in the future. And Thank you guys for being here on Talking Shop today.
Hey, thanks for having us on, and shout out to Jen. Please send her all of our best. We love Jen King and Space Cadets. They're incredible. And thank you, Onrie, for having us on, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And thank you to the bigger, comic book community who's so supportive. we've made a lot. I'm new to it, and I've made a lot of real great friends already.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Later.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.